Welcome to The Gentle Palette. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable we have become with being alone? The moment we have a few seconds to ourselves, we reach for our phones. We scroll while waiting in line. We play videos while eating. We fill every quiet moment with noise. It's almost as if we've forgotten how to simply be with ourselves. But today, I want to talk about something different, something that many people avoid, but that can be surprisingly beautiful. The art of being alone. You're listening to The Gentle Palette, where I draw and occasionally overanalyze life. And today, while a few lines slowly turn into patterns on this page, let's talk about solitude. When we're young, we're taught how to make friends, how to fit in, how to build relationships, and those things matter. Human connection is important, but very few people teach us how to enjoy our own company. As a result, many of us grow up believing that being alone is something to be feared, something to escape, something that means we're missing out on life. But what if that's not true? For a long time, I thought being alone and being lonely were the same thing, but they're not. Loneliness is the feeling of wanting connection and not having it. Solitude is choosing to spend time with yourself. One comes from absence, the other comes from presence, and there is a huge difference between the two. Some of the most important conversations you'll ever have won't happen with another person. They'll happen quietly, inside your own mind. During a walk, while looking out of a window, while sitting with a cup of tea, or maybe while drawing patterns on a blank page. Moments like these seem small, but they're often where clarity begins. Because when the noise fades away, you finally get to hear your own thoughts. The truth is, modern life doesn't leave much room for solitude. We're constantly connected. Messages, notifications, videos, opinions. There's always something competing for our attention. And after a while, we become so used to stimulation that silence starts to feel uncomfortable. But silence isn't empty, it's just unfamiliar. And sometimes, the things we need to hear most can only be heard in quiet moments. As I draw these lines, one pattern at a time, I'm reminded of something. No single line creates the whole picture. Each line seems insignificant on its own, but together they form something meaningful. Life works the same way. We often expect big answers, big breakthroughs, big transformations, but most growth happens quietly. One thought, one decision, one peaceful moment at a time. I think that's one of the gifts of solitude. It allows us to slow down enough to notice who we're becoming, without comparison, without performance, without constantly measuring ourselves against everyone else. When you're alone, you don't have to impress anyone. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to be productive every second. You can simply exist. And in a world that constantly demands more from us, that can feel incredibly freeing. Many people are afraid of being alone because they're afraid of what they might find. Their doubts, their regrets, their unanswered questions. And that's understandable. But avoiding those things doesn't make them disappear. Sometimes the most healing thing we can do is sit quietly and listen, not to the world, but to ourselves. The art of being alone isn't about isolating yourself. It's not about pushing people away. It's about building a relationship with the one person you'll spend your entire life with, you. Because if you're comfortable with your own company, loneliness loses much of its power. You stop seeing solitude as a punishment and start seeing it as a place of rest, a place of reflection, a place where you can return to yourself. And maybe that's why learning to be alone is becoming more important than ever. Not because the world is getting quieter, but because it's getting louder. Every day, there are more voices telling us what to think, what to want, and who we should become. And somewhere in all that noise, it's easy to lose sight of our own voice. Solitude gives us a chance to find it again. I don't think the goal is to spend life alone. The goal is to become comfortable enough with yourself that you no longer fear being alone. Because when you enjoy your own company, relationships become a choice rather than a necessity. You stop looking for people to complete you and start looking for people who complement the person you've already become. Perhaps that's the hidden beauty of solitude. It teaches us that our worth isn't measured by how busy we are, how many people are around us, or how much attention we receive. Sometimes, a quiet evening, a wandering thought, And a few peaceful moments with yourself can be just as meaningful as the loudest and busiest days of life. There's also something strangely comforting about realizing that you don't always need an audience for your life. Not every thought needs to be shared. Some moments become more meaningful simply because they belong only to you. And maybe that's what maturity looks like in some ways. Not having all the answers, not always feeling confident, but learning how to sit with uncertainty without immediately running away from it. Learning how to spend an evening alone without feeling abandoned. Learning how to enjoy your own presence the same way you enjoy the presence of someone you care about. So, if there's one thing I'd like you to take away from today's video, it's this. Being alone is not something you need to fix. It's a skill you can learn, a space you can grow into. Thank you for spending these few minutes with me. Take care of yourself. And don't forget to be kind to the person you spend the most time with. See you in the next one.